And then we have the discussion about ICLEI. As is noted in the staff report, ICLEI was founded in 1999 at a meeting of 200 cities and counties at the United Nations building. They now have a Congress that meets every 3 years, and subsequent meetings have been at other locations, typically ICLEI members in countries around the world. I think the last one in 2009 was in Alberta, Canada, and the next one in 2012 is being held in Brazil. They are a non-profit 501c3 organization. They are not a governmental entity, and they have no authority or power over any city or county in the state or the nation for that matter. Their role in green programs is to provide information, software, best practices on environmental programs and sustainability. They have over 500 members in the United States and over 1,200 members worldwide. The city's membership in ICLEI, which costs $600 a year, was approved by the City Council in 1997 as part of our effort to do the initial greenhouse gas inventory for the city government. They also provided Excel templates and best practices during the preparation of the city's climate action plan, and they have also been involved in a number of other projects. Most recently, they're working with 511.org on surveys for cities and private businesses to encourage car sharing and carpooling. And they also have an upcoming partnership with KEMA, one of the consultants working with CCAG on the RICAPS project to do some energy efficiency work. Staff recommends continuing the membership. We also heard some discussion about so-called Agenda 21 in the United Nations. It was an interesting discussion because prior to August, the city had never heard of either Agenda 21 or the process that it went through. We were urged to look into it and what the federal government was doing, so we did. What we learned was that this was a International Sustainability Action Plan, as it's called. It was generated during the United Nations, what they called the Earth Summit, held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1992. It was adopted by 178 countries, including the United States. The U.S. action was taken by President George H.W. Bush, which was 4 presidents ago. We also heard last week from some of the folks, the anti-sustainability group, that they question whether or not this was appropriately done because it was not acted on by the Congress.
Are you aware of any language in Agenda 21's stated goals as to the intention to eliminate property rights or redistribute wealth in the United States?
I don't recall seeing that, although I do know that there is some language in that action plan desiring to reduce poverty. There's some discussion about that.
When I read through the questions and answers that you had given to the different folks that had, you formulated all these questions, and then you had answers to them. For that, how much research did staff, you or whoever, do to come up with those answers?
We essentially talked to other cities. We talked to the folks at ICLEI. We talked to the League of Cities. We talked to various folks who have worked in this area, and we've also done some document research as well as research on the web.
Okay. You said that we reviewed their bylaws when?
Well, when the City Council first joined ICLEI, we attached a copy of the bylaws of ICLEI, and we also talked about the membership criteria. Yes.
You did?
We sure did. In 1997, yes.
Remember that?
Yeah.
In fact, I don't recall that at all.
Yeah, we sure did. I went back and looked at the staff report. In fact, there was a...
Did we have video back then?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know.
Christine, what year was it? 97.
Oh, excuse me. No, it's actually...
it wasn't 97.
It was 2007. Excuse me. Yeah, we probably did have video then, yes. We have video on the staff report and your resolution and the contract. There was a contract between the City of San Carlos, ICLEI. There was also another party that, or 2 other parties to that contract, Joint Venture Silicon Valley and Sustainable Silicon Valley. They were like a multi-party. And the purpose of that contract, we were one of 13 agencies in Silicon Valley that worked with those agencies to create the city's greenhouse gas inventory for 2007.
Any chance that state laws and regs, for example, let's pick one of them, SD 375,
Mm-hmm.
well, coming from the state, any chance that came from the state but the impetus for the city action originated from recommendations offered by the UN, perhaps at one of their conferences?
Nope.
You don't think so?
Nope, absolutely not.
Okay.
In fact, we actually negotiated some of the terms of SB 375 with former Assembly Member Ruskin and Mr. Steinberg.
I'm sorry, Mr. Moore. I'm not saying that the actual language and writing of the law was done somewhere else. What I'm saying is the concept, the idea of the law, the impetus for the law came from somewhere else.
No.
You don't think so?
No, it came from Mr. Steinberg. Absolutely.
Okay. All right, well, we are going to go to public comment.
Excuse me, I have just one more question that I overlooked. Brian, do you know where the term sustainable development came from?
I don't know.
Okay, we will go to public comment. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes, and we will cue you up as we go. So Rosa, Kory, and B. Phillips are up first. If you could introduce yourself for the minutes and give us your city residence.
Good evening. I'm Rosa Kory. I'm the Executive Director of the Post-Sustainability Institute. And I'm glad to be here tonight. It's an important night because we're drawing something out of the shadows. And it's important to talk about it. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy fact. This is Agenda 21. This is the United Nations plan. It's a 300-page, 40-chapter plan. And ICLEI was created in 1990, prior to this plan's adoption, to implement United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development worldwide. Sustainable development is a term that was defined by the United Nations, and all of these terms come out of the United Nations. Smart growth is part of United Nations Agenda 21. Your general plan elements are designed in accordance with United Nations Agenda 21 principles. Its language is in your 2030 general plan. Your planners were trained in it. The flyer that we gave you over there is from Local Agenda 21 Planning Guide. It's a joint ICLEI and United Nations book, and it is used in your planning department, the planning department for San Carlos. This plan is a whole life plan. It involves the educational system, the energy market, transportation system, the governmental system, healthcare, food production, and more. The plan restricts your choices, it limits your ability to govern yourself, and it takes away your freedom. This seems like a rhetorical statement, but it really is not. This is actually what this plan does. And using the cover of environmental concern, our private property rights and our civil rights have been diminished, and they will continue to be so unless we call a halt to it. One of your residents has purchased some of my, I wrote a book, it's called Behind the Green Mask, UN Agenda 21, and he purchased these books for you, and I have provided them for you here. I want you to know that, ICLEI is the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, but it changed its name so that you wouldn't know that it's international. It seems like all of these things seem like they sound so good. Sustainable development, green, vibrant, walkable, bikeable. How could you be against that? But really, when you know about this plan, it is really very serious, and I urge you tonight to sever your relationship with ICLEI.
Until about a year ago, I hadn't heard of ICLEI either. And when I did hear about it, I dismissed it, what I heard. I said it can't possibly be, it can't happen in this country. In the past year, I've spent some time and looked into it. It is happening in this country. It is an insidious virus that has gone septic throughout this country, infecting our government at all levels.
They said that Agenda 21 is not part of ICLEI. I have parts of Agenda 21 and ICLEI here, and this is from the ICLEI website. It says over 10,000 communities worldwide have engaged in local Agenda 21, a participatory planning process developed by ICLEI.
Did you know that there's regional plans all across the nation right now that are being rolled out that are all exactly the same? They're all in alignment with the principles of UN Agenda 21. And ICLEI is their agent. An NGO is an affiliate of the United Nations. That's what that means. They're not part of this government. They're outside, coming from outside of our nation. And they don't have the best interests of Americans at heart.
What they're going for is 11 regions in North America, not states, not our 50 states, 11 regions. They will be appointing people to do the planning and the running and the operation of those regions through the United Nations.
The International Council of Local Environments is an oxymoron to me. What does the International Council have to do with our local environments?
On the ICLEI website, it says 200 local governments from 43 countries convened at our inaugural conference, the World Congress of Local Governments for Sustainable Future at the United Nations in New York. I think there's a connection. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Mora?
I am patently against ICLEI and Agenda 21, and I urge the city, as a resident, to withdraw your membership. That's not to say give up your green programs. That's not to say give up striving to have a better environment. But disconnect from this organization. It is not good, folks.
There's absolutely no demonstrable connection between climate change and human activities. There was a chart called the hockey stick graph, which Al Gore called the smoking gun of human causation. Well, it was not only proven wrong, but the data and algorithm used for it were falsified.
This isn't about green. Green is just the guise. Green is just the guise until we open our eyes and realize that control is how the people that you're working for really roll.
Here is the Local Agenda Planning Guide, ICLEI. Local Agenda Planning Guide, ICLEI. If you open this up, it's from Maurice Strong. It talks about the United Nations. It talks about Agenda 21. This is it. You cannot deny that they are not connected. The document's right here. It's yours, by the way. Also, ICLEI is a big part of the road to Rio. You can read the sustainability documents. It's the same darn thing as the Local Agenda 21. In what I gave you, in that bounded thing, you will see ICLEI's brief sheet. You can find it yourself online. In fact, you can find everything we're telling you guys online. This is all about U.S. private property rights. We have a right to private property and intellectual property, but the UN does not believe we can have property. They believe private land ownership is the way to injustice, that poor people can't have private property, so therefore it's not fair. So they use zoning and land use planning. What is happening to the Bay Area right now? That's what we're doing. We're changing private property into open space. That's what we're doing right now. This is what the UN recommends. And MDGs, just FYI, ICLEI is working on fulfilling those MDGs, and the MDGs are Millennium Development Goals. They are the United Nations.
Neither the United States Congress nor the American people have voted for Agenda 21's implementation.
They are there to indoctrinate people on the local level and bring it up through the state until it's a reality. And these people are all here tonight because they sense the same jeopardy. I hope that you understand this is bigger than all your tree questions and your trash disposal or anything else. Thank you.
First, I want to say thanks to the speakers, because I know you guys endured a long meeting even though we took some things off the agenda. I'm surprised that some folks, like this lady in the back, the last speaker, all the way from Santa Rosa, and bothered to stay here till 11:45. The woman who came up who was crippled and took her, the effort to be here and get up and speak like that. Council members, these people are serious. What they're reading, what they're looking at is serious. They're not here because they're playing games. And I'm going to tell you, as a fellow council member, I'm pleading with you, vote us out of ICLEI.
One more time, we're going to clear the room. So
like
please.
The one gentleman said, I've been not paying attention to this, and some people have brought it to my attention and I was pushing it away. just last night, in preparation for this meeting, similar to what this gentleman back here said from San Jose, spending 30 minutes on the internet is all it took. And I would ask you to think to yourselves, gentlemen, why would our staff tell us in answering questions? Here's the question. I have recently become aware that San Carlos has membership in ICLE. ICLE arose from a United Nations sponsored program titled Agenda 21. Answer, incorrect. ICLE was founded in 1990. You heard the answers. You heard other people point it out. That's a bald-faced lie in our staff report. It says here there's no connection of ICLE to Agenda 21 or the UN. That's a bald-faced lie. All you have to do is do a little research on the internet and you can find the answer. They are connected. Ask yourself. I didn't see any of you there. I went to the one Bay Area planning meeting that was at Hillary Aviation Museum in San Carlos. Well, there's not only one Bay Area. There's one Valley, one Vision. That's the name of a program for Santa Clarita Valley in California, for a place in Montana, and another place in New Mexico. Another one, 9 counties, one vision in Tennessee. Another one, one region, one vision, New York and Indiana. Our Florida, our vision. One Bay Area, that's us. 6 towns, one vision, Lycoming County. 5 counties, one vision, Minnesota. Are you seeing anything here? A thread? And then you look at what the UN, their Road to Rio, and what's the name of it? The name of their meeting, I'm looking for it, I'm sorry, this year is One Plan, or something like that. Do you see a thread? There is a thread. This is all coming from the same place, fellas. Our membership in ICLE, if nothing else, that's $600 we give them every year, helps them along with what they're doing. Mr. Mora said that he asked the question, San Carlos, he made the statement, San Carlos is not affected by the UN or Agenda 21. And then I asked Mr. Mora, where did the term sustainability come from? Well, the term sustainability came from the Secretary General of the United Nations in 1983 asked Prime Minister of Norway, and I can't pronounce her name, but it's something like Brundtland, to create an organization to focus on environmental and developmental problems and social and solutions after an affirmation by the General Assembly resolution in the fall of 1984. Out of that report, the Brundtland Commission, they came up with the term sustainable development. That's where it got coined, in their paper that came out of that commission. That was the United Nations. Created the term, coined the term, defined the term. Mr. Mayor, is sustainable development, that term, not in our general plan? It is. That was my point to Mr. Mora, that when I made the point that, do you not think SB 375 and other laws that he said came down from the state and we have no control over and so forth, do you not think those are coming from NGOs and their work, the work of the United Nations and ICLE and organizations like it? They're creating these concepts and ideas. Look into the association, American Association of Planners. Al Savay is a member. Where do they get their training? A lot of their material comes from Agenda 21, UN Agenda 21. This is a sick attack on the United States of America. Why do you think they didn't want to have, Mr. Moore didn't want to have any association with the United Nations? Because of what the United Nations believes about property rights. I think somebody here said it. The United Nations doesn't believe in property rights for individuals. The United Nations believes that, here it is, land cannot be treated as an ordinary asset controlled by individuals and subject to the pressures and inefficiencies of the market. Private land ownership is also a principal instrument of accumulation and concentration of wealth and therefore contributes to social injustice. If unchecked, it may become a major obstacle in the planning and implementation of development schemes. The provision of decent dwellings and healthy conditions for the people can only be achieved if land is used in the interest of society as a whole. Public control of land is therefore indispensable. This comes from the land policy of the United Nations, officially articulated at the United Nations Conference on Human Settlements held in Vancouver, May 31st, June 11, 1976. May 31st through June 11, 1976. That's why they don't want you to know the connection of ICLE to Agenda 21, the United Nations. I suggest we remove ourselves from this organization. As people have said, we have made an oath when we took office to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. And this stuff flies right in the face of both constitutions.
Thank you, Mr. Gropa. Mr. Collins. Deputy rule. I'd like to, yes, I'm serious, one more time, and I'm going to have the deputy rule. One more time. The chair will entertain a motion.
I move that the city of San Carlos, I guess what I want to say is retain its membership. Reaffirm its membership in ICLE.
Is there a second? I'll second it.
Of course you will.
Any discussion?
Disgusting.
Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Collins?
Yes.
Councilmember Silley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gropa?
No.
Councilmember Olbert?
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Have a good night.
On record. Unbelievable.
The Republican National Committee unanimously connected the dots. You should read it. It's simple reading. It's going to the Democratic side now. They're all whacked.
That's great. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll find out. Some homework.